I want to take this flat USB cable, run it from my battery system using an adapter. It has two USB outputs. It wires right into 12 volt. Up into the fridge, and because this is flat, it should tuck neatly behind this gasket and minimize any type of air loss. When I put food in the fridge, I expect it to stay cold. I don't like warm drinks or wilted lettuce. In the past couple weeks, we've had some really hot days down here in Glen Rose, Texas. Yesterday was over 100. This fridge, while it does keep up with it, it has a hard time keeping items in the bottom compartment cold, and that's been really frustrating me. Last summer, I made a video about a battery-powered fan that I set up inside the fridge to keep items in the bottom of it cold. It's basically just a large USB battery that I strapped a fan to. Because the cooling fins are just at the top, items on the bottom, especially in this drawer, tend to stay a little bit warmer than they do at the top of the fridge. We like to keep our drinks and a lot of our boxed salad down on the bottom. These things get warm and they wilt much faster. I'd really like the fan to run 24 hours a day, and I don't want to have to worry about charging the battery anymore. So I decided to get some flat USB cables. They're going to let me hardwire the fan into my power system, and that's what I'm going to do today in this video. This is my power system. I do have a USB plug on the back of this inverter, so I could easily just plug it in and I'd be good to go. However, since most of you probably don't have USB underneath your floor or near your fridge, I decided to try something a little different. I got a 12 volt to USB adapter. You can either solder it together or crimp some ring terminals on it and attach it to your battery system that way. I found a really convenient spot to run the wire in. I have a little bit of a gap right here. That will let me then run it back up to where I had it before, which is attached right here. And if you're wondering why we have no sheets on the bed, it's because Sasha's overdoing laundry. I'm gonna undo this, stretch it out. What we need is the female end in the fridge, and that way our fan can plug into it like this. I bought a 10-foot. I think it's long enough. If it's not, I can actually daisy chain them together. I'd rather not though. But yeah, this should be plenty of length for me. Perfect. All right, I'm going to run this cable up through here. Tuck it in here so it doesn't fall down. Now I gotta route the wire underneath. My floor comes up pretty easily. Just gonna feed this down through here. It fits perfectly. Shut this. Gonna fish up a little bit and see if I can grab it. Look at that, right there. I'm gonna finish feeding that through. So I got this run through here, and I could just plug it into my inverter here, this USB port, which is pretty much perfect. Let's just see if it's got power. Look at that. I just used some 3M command fasteners on the back of this, and I have it set to point down. So it's taking the cool air from this compartment and shooting it straight down the side. If you guys are curious about how I set this up the first time, I'm going to leave a link to that video up here. I'm going to put this back in place. And it sits there and runs just like that. I actually wanted to have a couple extra USB ports underneath this compartment anyway to run things like LED lights just for fun and some cooling fans for my charging system. So what I liked about this is that I can kind of mount it anywhere. It has two USB outputs and it wires right into 12 volt. I'm just simply going to put a couple of these heat shrink ring terminals, crimp them on here, except I got to strip that back just a little bit more. I got these stripped back, put it in here, give it a good crimp. This is not a high power draw item. I'm not going to be super concerned about perfect crimping and all of that stuff. It's good enough. If it ever breaks, I'll just either throw it away or fix it. But I did like the fact that they have the heat shrink on it. So let me find a lighter and I'm going to shrink those. At least I think this is shrink tubing. It's a little too big for this, but whatever, it's okay. Hey, it actually shrunk much better than I expected. Look at that. But the lighter left some black marks on it. I'm going to do it a little differently on this side. I don't have a heat gun. The few times that I have to do heat shrink, I usually use a lighter. I might borrow one if I'm with someone that has a heat gun that I can use. Ooh, try not to burn my fingers. Wow, this shrink tubing shrinks a lot. Alright, so those are shrunk on there. There was really no need to do this. That's the connectors that I had floating around, so I used them. Because I had the flame touching this, it left some soot from the butane in the lighter. I don't really care. Black to negative, red to positive. Now I just have to find a place to put it down here. My bus bars are getting rather full. All of these are fairly high amperage connections, and I don't really want to stack them up with more ring terminals on it, you know, like this. Not ideal. I think I'm going to be mounting this probably right around here. Might take these ring terminals and stack them up on here, which probably isn't ideal, but considering it's such a low power demand, it's not really going to bother me. Also, this inverter only ever draws at a max maybe 250 watts. It just runs my storage devices and our laptops, so it's pretty low power. Never use it for anything high demand. So I think that that's probably my easiest way to get this done. Of course, your setup's going to be different, and you're going to have to figure out the best way to connect it. I'm going to prep the surface here with rubbing alcohol. Just get any of the oils off of it. Let that dry. I'm going to come over here, do the same thing. Okay, so that's going to go probably like that against the wall. I'm going to put the strip facing up. Does not have to be perfect. Peel this off because this goes against the wall. Probably about right there is good. Worst case, I just remove it. Oh, it's a little crooked. There we go. Now, I just need to connect these to these terminals, and we're good to go. Took a little finagling, but I got it in. Kind of double tap that. So now I have these floating female USB connections. Well, it's plugged in now. I'll just let it dangle down there. And it's working. So I know this is a simple project, but it's kind of all the time I have for the week. I have to wrap up the video now. Sasha's back with the laundry. So it does work. Now I don't have to worry about changing out this battery ever again. It's going to run off of my main battery system, or if we're plugged in the shore power, of course, it's going to draw off of that. So now I can leave that fan running 24 hours a day in the fridge. It's going to help circulate the air, and it's going to keep everything a more even temperature. So if you guys are interested in trying this for yourself, I'm going to leave all of the links down below. Give it a whirl. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.